Demarcus Cousins once upon a time was one of, if not the best center in the entire NBA. Fast forward to 2020 and Cousins did not play a single minute of NBA basketball last season. How did Cousins go from a star-level player in the NBA to someone who was floating from team to team on low contracts to now completely out of the league? Well, to understand this, we have to take it back to the 2010 NBA draft where the Sacramento Kings took Cousins with the 5th overall pick. In his rookie season, he would average 14.1 points and 8.6 rebounds and was already establishing himself as one of the best young bigs in the NBA. Cousins would continue to be an absolute dominant force in his time with Sacramento, averaging 21.2 points per game and 10.8 rebounds. But the Kings were terrible during this time. The Kings haven't made the playoffs since 2006 and this wasn't changing with Cousins. Cousins' best teammates in Sacramento were Tyreke Evans and Isaiah Thomas. The Kings were never able to surround Boogie with sufficient talent to even make the playoffs, let alone contend. Cousins would also develop a reputation as a dirty player and someone who was a legit hothead. Cousins would cause fights with not just the opposition team, but his own team. In his rookie season, Cousins would have a verbal altercation with teammate Dante Green after he didn't pass in the ball at the end of a game. Cousins still had these attitude problems throughout his entire NBA career. Eventually though, Cousins would be traded to the Pelicans for Buddy Hield, Tyreke Evans, and the 2017 first round pick from the Pelicans. Cousins was joining a team that already had all-star Anthony Davis in the front court. The Pelicans would now have the best front court in the entire NBA, and one of the best in the modern era, and one not really seen since David Robinson and Tim Duncan both played for the San Antonio Spurs. Cousins and the Pelicans were on track to become a truly dominant force in the NBA. In the 17-18 season, they would finish with a 48-34 record, but this season wouldn't be Cousins' first playoff appearance, as on the 26th of January, Cousins ruptured his left Achilles tendon. This would leave out Cousins for the whole rest of the season and a portion of the season after. An Achilles injury is one of the worst injuries a player can suffer. Most famously, Kobe Bryant injured his Achilles and it was a massive turning point in his career, as it truly marked the end of his star-level career. Cousins would end up rejecting the Pelicans' offer to re-sign and rather chose to play for the Warriors. His reasoning was Warriors were the best option available and the other teams were all offering similar money and the Warriors would be a great team to rehab with. The Pelicans' offer was rumored to be around $40 million over 2 seasons, but Boogie was expecting a max deal, but teams weren't willing to give it to him after the injury he just suffered. The Warriors would end up giving him a 1-year, $5 million contract. At the time, this was massive. Cousins at full health was one of the best bigs in the entire league. For the Warriors, it would add another star to an already stacked roster, but it would also fix a few key issues they had. The Warriors' biggest weakness was their interior defense and lacking a strong presence inside on offense. Boogie in his prime was a strong interior defender and an amazing scorer in the low post and still added the shooting the Warriors wanted. Though in reality, Cousins came back not even half the player he was at the Kings or the Pelicans. He would only end up playing 30 games in the regular season and average 16.8 points and 8.2 rebounds. It would only get worse in the playoffs as he would only average 7.8 points per game and shot 39% from the field. He looked sluggish on both ends of the court and the injury definitely took a toll on him. Not to mention, he also tore his quadriceps in the beginning of the playoffs. The Warriors would also have to deal with injuries to Kevin Durant, who had an Achilles injury, and Klay Thompson, who tore his ACL in the NBA Finals. They would lose to the Toronto Raptors in 6 games, and Boogie would severely underperform in the playoffs. In last season's offseason, Cousins would sign a deal with the Lakers, reuniting with Anthony Davis but now in LA and joining LeBron James. But he wouldn't play a single minute of basketball. He would injure his Achilles in the offseason and be waived by the Lakers. But if it couldn't get any worse for Boogie, he would be recorded threatening to shoot his baby mama in the head because she wouldn't let his son go to his wedding.
I'm gonna ask you this one more time. Go shoot the ball. Can I have my phone?
Go shoot the ball.
Can I have my phone?
No, he's not coming.
Say less. make sure I put a bullet through your fucking head.
Alright.
Cousins would not be assigned to the team for the entire 2020 season. But to answer the question, what happened to Demarcus Cousins' NBA career? Well, it was completely derailed by injuries. If Demarcus Cousins never suffered that first Achilles injury with the Pelicans, he'd probably still be in the league putting up good numbers. He would have probably received that max contract and continued to be one of the best centers in the NBA. But for the question, do I think Cousins will ever make it back to the league? I'm not optimistic. With just the fact that the Achilles injury is such a severe injury and that it's shown that it's already affected him, and the fact that NBA teams aren't really pursuing him just doesn't give me much optimism. Cousins is only 30 years old though, so he could definitely make a comeback, but with all the drama he brings and the risk of re-injuring himself, I don't think many NBA teams will be willing to take the risk on him. But I do hope he finds his way back in the league and becomes a productive player again. I don't think he'll ever reach the heights he did as one of the best bigs in the league, but maybe he could become a productive role player like Dwight Howard, who was a former star as well. But anyway guys, if you liked this video, please consider liking and subscribing for more NBA content. But I hope you have a wonderful day, and laters.